Hello, everybody. C. Ray Brower here today with Leah Garcia with WFG, and we're going to find out all about what that's about coming up next. And we're back. Hey, Leah, how's it going today?
It is fabulous because today is Taco Tuesday.
Did you bring tacos?
No, but I brought a taco joke for you.
Okay. Cool. I'm ready.
So Taco Tuesday, I love Tacos Tuesday. I always look forward to Taco Tuesday. So let me ask you, what kind of music do tacos enjoy?
What kind of music do tacos enjoy? I don't know.
Rap music, of course. Ba-dum-bum. You're so kind. Thank you for laughing. Appreciate that.
We've always, as you know, I always end with "Be the sunshine" in somebody's rainy
There you
day,
go.
and a little
Somebody
joke
will
here
love
and
my
there.
joke. Someone will appreciate my joke.
Exactly. Good jokes, bad jokes, they are still all jokes, right?
Absolutely.
Well, great. So WFG, I'm pretty sure I know what it stands for, but why don't you let all our viewers know what WFG is and what it stands for?
Yeah, World Financial Group. So we're a one-stop shop financial services. We help families from all walks of life really to build better financial futures. You know, we're all here working hard, whether we have a job or we're building a business, getting up early and sacrificing. You know, what is it all for? For me, it's about creating generational wealth. It's just not about us retiring and maybe setting up some funds here and there. It's really about leaving that legacy. And that's really what we focus on. And that's what we strive for every family that we help.
Very, very nice. I heard two trigger words for me, and that's generational wealth and legacy.
Yeah.
A lot of people may not consider generational wealth to be a legacy because maybe they don't have a generation following them. They don't have children. They lost their children, whatever. But a legacy can be to anything. I just recently read an article about a cat that was actually a multimillionaire because the owner had passed and left the fortune to the cat. And yes, there's a trustee that takes care of that and makes sure the cat doesn't. And I'm sure the trustee's taken care of. But the first step in that trust was to the cat, which I thought was amazing. Amazing, right?
Yeah. I love that you really focus on that or pick that up, because we might default to thinking about children or grandchildren, but it literally could be maybe a foundation. You know, I live in Monterey, and recently the SPCA was a recipient of a $20 million trust.
Wow.
So it may not just be about your children or grandchildren, but it may be a foundation, maybe something that you couldn't donate to while you were living. And now, you know, as you pass, you have assets or life insurance that you would like to leave that legacy. So I really love that you picked that up, CJ. That's awesome. I knew you would pick up. You're so awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, Monterey, how long have you been in Monterey?
I've only been here about a year. I actually grew up in the east side of San Jose, but I grew up east side of San Jose, food stamps and welfare. They call that the wrong side of the tracks, right?
I was going to ask, I know San Jose just a little bit. I've been to the auditorium.
There you go.
Actually walked on fire there with Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins, yeah.
Yeah, I did God, that's been 15, 18 years ago now. I don't know. It's been a while that he was there.
Yeah.
And I made it across except for the very last step.
Oh.
the whole thing was focus, 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 and you can do it. Focus, focus. And I made it to the very last step, and somebody took my focus off of
Right.
and I got one little burn on the bottom of my foot. Not bad, just one little spot that burnt, and it was that very last step. But I made it all the way across without burning my feet. I thought, that.
Well, you know what we call those, CJ? See, Ray? We call those trophies.
There you go. Very good. So grew up in San Jose, born in San Jose, or?
I was actually born in Hawaii. My dad was in the service. And so, after that, grew up in San Jose, went to like I said, East Side San Jose, went to 4 different high schools. We moved around a lot. And like I said, we grew up on food stamps and welfare. But you know what, see, Ray, even as a little child, I always wanted something better. I always knew that I was here to do more. And if I could tell you a quick story, I'd love to share something with you.
Sure.
So for me, we watched a lot of television, didn't have a lot of other outside activities. And there was this commercial, and the announcer said, if you spray Windex on your windows, your whole world will sparkle. Now, it might sound a little corny, a little Pollyanna, but I was 6 years old at the time.
Right.
And I begged my mom for Windex. We were living in poverty and squalor and all of that. And I just really saw that commercial, and I took it to heart, and I begged my mom for Windex. And for me, when I'm helping a family, they say, be the person you needed when you were younger. And I think about that, me as a little girl, like when I help a family, I think of the children in their life or the future in their life, that who can I put that sparkle in? And it truly, truly is. It might sound, like I said, kind of Pollyanna, but for me, it's that ability to reach back and help me as that little girl.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So Windex and put some sparkle in your life.
Right.
I like that. That's as good as the sunshine in your rainy day.
There you go. Be the Windex on your sunshine. Never put that together. That's good.
Very, very cool. Very cool. So just a year in Monterey. How are you loving Monterey?
Oh, gosh. Are you kidding? Right now, today, it is gorgeous here. It is just beautiful. But it's bliss. It's heavenly. Yeah. It's Monterey. I don't know. Have you ever been to Monterey?
Oh yeah. We've been to Monterey quite a bit. That's one of our favorite places. Pacific Grove, Monterey. The whole bay there is just an amazing place to visit. Lots and lots of things to do. Of course, I'm a golfer, so lots of great golf courses, and we actually. Little story myself. When I was president of the La Quintana Men's Club, which is up here in the foothills, I was honored in being able to qualify for the NCGA 2-man best ball.
Wow, nice.
So me and my partner and 2 other guys qualified to go play Spyglass.
Wow.
Now it's a 3-day tournament, and my buddy says, well, where are we going to stay? And I said, well, we're going to bring our wives, right? And he says, yeah. And I said, well, we can't stay in the Fleabag Hotel me and you'd stay in.
Right.
They ain't going to go for that. We're going to have to get someplace nice. So we check on a couple motel rooms. I know they're going to be $300 a night, but whatever it is what it is, right? I mean, we won. So we look, and it's a lot. And he says, let me see if I can't find us a house or something to rent, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he calls me up and he goes, oh, man, I thought we could get a deal, but it's like $5,000 and you have to rent it for the month, right? And I went, well, we're not going to do that. And he says, well, let me check around. So he made a few more phone calls. He got hold of somebody that had a new house, was not quite ready to rent, but they were willing to rent it for, I think it was $1,800 for the month.
What?
Not quite ready to rent meant basically that there was some pictures and stuff. I mean, it had all the linens, it had all all the
Wow.
pots and pans and dishes and everything. There was only one TV, I think, as I remember. Anyway, he got it for this incredible price, like $1,800 a month, and decided, okay, we're going to spend that on a motel anyway. So he got it for a full weekend. I got it for a full weekend.
Wow.
We helped the people out, that the other team, and let them rent the weekend that we were there.
Wow.
And then he rented it out to some of his guys. We actually ended up making a little money.
I was going to say that's where was it at? Where was it located?
That was 5 blocks from the beach in
PG?
Yeah.
Marina or PG? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Pacific Grove?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pacific
it's
Grove,
beautiful.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's so many different neighborhoods here. I mean, and they're all beautiful. Like
Yeah.
there is no bad area. You know, it's all great. If you like more of the mountainous or more beach or just the downtown, my office is located downtown, and it's so incredible here. I can walk to the bank. I can walk to get food. I mean, we're just so spoiled. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I love the area for sure. I also was blessed with a good friend whose dad was one of the original members of Spyglass.
Wow.
And he had passed him down the membership to Spyglass.
Wow.
And
Now,
he called me up one day and he said, hey, would you drive over and pick us up at the Monterey airport and drive us to Spyglass? It'll mean a free round of golf.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. Sure. I'll drive over and do that. About 4 or 5 days later, he says, never mind. You don't have to drive over and pick us up. He said, but you can meet us at the airport and fly over. We pay $60 for fuel for the pilot, and you can play Spyglass for free.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
For several years, 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, he'd call me up and go, hey, we're going next weekend. Can you go? And I'd usually cancel what I was doing so I could fly over, right?
Yeah.
But that first time, it was, I want to say January, and here in Stockton, it was foggy.
Right.
And we get in the first time in a little Cessna myself, first time I'd ever been in a little plane.
Oh, no.
And so we get in, and the tires look like they're about this big around, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, you can't be a sissy.
Right.
And I'm watching as we're going down the runway, and them tires are bouncing and everything.
No
and
way.
you can't see 100 yards in front of you, maybe 50 yards.
Gosh.
I mean, it's just blank, right?
Oh, my gosh.
And we climbed 75 or 100 feet maybe and came out into the sunshine. I had left the house all bundled up, got there, shirt sleeves, had to take my sweats off. It was just an absolutely gorgeous day. Played great golf, had lunch, and flew back. On the way back, we may have had to call our wives to pick us up in the foothills, but it finally cleared about halfway here. It cleared so we could land in Stockton.
Wow. Yeah, I know that. I raised my kids in Central Valley in Los Baños. So I know that fog is pretty treacherous.
Yeah, it can be. It's, you know, we haven't had fog like when I moved here. We moved to California out of Utah and Idaho. I was born in Idaho and raised in Utah and Idaho, and we moved to Tracy. And I remember that first year, the summer, we moved in the summer before 7th grade, and I really thought that my dad had moved us right straight into hell.
Yeah.
That summer was miserably hot. I don't remember how. It was a record-setting year of how many days, over 100, and just wind blowing off the Altamont and Tracy. All the trees lean the same way because the wind's blowing, right? It was just, it was miserable. And then winter came, and again, raised in Utah and Idaho. I mean, the teens was a normal winter, right? I mean, I remember some sub-zero weather, not a lot of it, but some. And we got here, and I was never so cold in my entire life that first winter. The fog, you couldn't see across the street. It was just miserable.
I totally know.
You know, we have progressed, and I actually found out an interesting fact about fog. and why we don't have as severe a fog now as we did back then in the 70s. And that's because our air is cleaner.
Oh, wow. Our air is cleaner than it was in the 70s?
Oh, way cleaner than it was in the 70s. Yeah. I mean, if I went to LA in 69 or 70 with my grandparents lived there, and we went down to visit, and I spent a week or two there with them, and they lived right off of a big 4-lane city street, right? 6-lane, whatever it was, big wide street with constant cars. And I spent the whole time with my eyes just absolutely burning and pus running out of the corners of my eyes from the smog. You couldn't see across the valley any day in LA back then. Now you go down and you can see all the way across the valley almost any day of the week, right?
Yeah.
And now that's what fog is the moisture collecting on particles in the air. And because we've got cleaner burning cars, cleaner burning trucks, all this stuff, even though they're telling us we need to go electric, we actually have much, much cleaner air than we did then. And that's why the fog isn't so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, we've talked about a lot of little stuff, just getting a kind of a background of ourselves.
Yeah.
What is the best thing? I mean, that's kind of what we were promoting today, was a way for people to start building towards some financial freedom and investing in quality products. What would you advise people to do?
Well, I would say, first of all, never take generic advice. That would be my first advice, whether it's from me or any of these financial gurus that you see, a book that you read. Really, our financial future, our finances are like our fingerprints. We all are different. Your neighbor may have the same amount of kids and wife and in the same kind of car, but every family is different. So I would say number one is seek out professional help, okay, in some form or fashion. Retirement, building your assets, building your estate is not a DIY project. It just truly is not. And then secondly, I always say, start with the end in mind. So if you are in retirement or near retirement or a young family, what is the end result that you're shooting for? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve generational wealth? Do you care about leaving generational wealth? Do you have a business that you want to at some point make it sellable, franchising? Do you have a charity, some type of philanthropic endeavor that you would like to donate to in a big, meaningful way? So those are the two things I can really say, is that what kind of products are there? There's, everything from A to Z. And the third thing is, what I do is I teach my family something that's called the wall of wealth. Now, it's a concept. I didn't create this. I wish I did. But the wall of wealth, I take every family through this process, whether they're making $10,000 a month or $10 million a month. We all start with this foundation. And think about it this way. If you were building a home, you wouldn't put on the roof and the windows before pouring the foundation, right? So we have to take us through this process. And this is what it looks like. The first pillar is going to be your health insurance, your life insurance, and your disability. You start there. Okay, that's your pillar. What are you doing with your health insurance? Are you overpaying for it? Do you have life insurance? Is it just for your company? Is it portable? Do you have term? Do you have permanent? And disability. Are you using disability, state disability if something were to happen? Or do you own are you a business owner and you need to create some type of a disability plan? The second pillar is going to be creating an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months if you are a W-2 employee. If you are a 1099, 12 to 18 months or even longer. That means whatever you earn annually, you should have that set aside in like a liquid type of a fund, like a money market, something like that. The next pillar we talk about, then we start looking at retirement, 401ks, IRAs, and such. And right above that, so these pillars are kind of becoming sequential, except for when we get to our next pillar. So we talked about retirement. The very next pillar, C rate, is going to be debt. Those two are exactly the same size. And a lot of people say to me, well, why are you doing that? Or a lot of questions I get is, do I pay off my debt or do I save for retirement? And you know what my answer is?
No, but
Both. It's both. That's why the pillars are exactly identical. You have to start paying down that debt. At retirement, you should be completely, totally out of debt. That's my humble opinion. Your primary residence should be completely paid off, no student loans. I've seen people retire with debt, and it's not a good story. And at the same time, we have to develop the muscle of saving and investing. And I say saving and investing, those are two separate things, right? Saving is with no intent to spend. Investing is intend to spend in the future. So that muscle for a lot of people is atrophied, and we have to build that up. And if you don't save money when you don't have money, guess what? When you have money, if that muscle's still atrophy, you're not going to do it when you have money, right?
right.
The next pillar we talk about college funds. Traditional 529 plans, we share a program that we refer to as a $1 Million Baby Program. And it's how what the Rockefellers did for their children and their grandchildren. Because a lot of well-meaning families, see, Ray, you know what they do? They forego life insurance, they don't have an emergency fund, and they sacrifice and they put money towards their kids' college. And you know what happens as soon as an emergency happens or someone becomes, passes away or becomes disabled? Guess what happens to that college fund?
It goes away, yeah.
It goes away. So we're not saying don't save for college, but we're saying is put that foundation in first. And then we start talking about long-term goals. Do you want to buy a home, a car, a vacation home? What is retire? Are you going to retire in California or outside the state? And the three last pillars are the ones that most people never even talk about, are not even sure about. Then we're going to start talking about pensions. What do you have that is income for life? Not a 401k. 401k is a finite bucket of money. What do you own that is going to pay you income for the rest of your life? And then we talk about tax-free. What do you own that's tax-free? What type of strategies do you own that are tax-free? And then we talk about long-term care and long-term care planning. And guess what's the cherry on top? The cherry on top?
I don't know. What?
That's where your other investments come in. Bitcoin, real estate. Don't start with real estate if you don't have your foundation. I'm sure that you would agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what protects this entire wall of wealth?
The insurance.
Actually, that's a great answer. It's actually our living trust.
Yes, true.
Yep.
True.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you said protects, I directly went to insurance, but having just lived through that whole living trust thing and everything with mom passing and the problems dad had going in because of the attorney that wrote up the original living trust, it actually cost him a ton of money to get it fixed so that he could actually control it, because the attorney made himself the successor trustee and entire trustee on the trust, and dad had no control. So it cost him a ton of money and go in front of 3 judges and everything, because by the time he found out, mom was not able to consent to being removed from the trust, which needed to be done so that Medicare could take care of her rather than deplete the trust completely, trying to take care of her because she had Alzheimer's. So.
Right.
So yeah.
I hear those stories all the time.
Yeah. Sad but true that they're out there, and people are, as you said, don't take the first word of advice or the generic thing. That's kind of how he ended up in that trust. Was he had somebody refer him to this guy that was the great guy, and as it turned out, neither one of them were great, and he got rid of the first guy that referred, and then it was years and years and years later that he found out that the attorney that wrote up the trust was not very trustworthy either, and nowhere to be found.
Wow.
He asked me, he says, what do you think happened to him? I said, well, Dad, one of two things, and only one of two things. He said, what's that? I said, he's down at the bottom of the ocean with concrete slippers on, or he just made enough money stealing from enough people that he's sitting in the Bahamas somewhere as John Doe and got a whole bucket full of cash and going to live the rest of his life sitting right there, right? So
yeah. And a living trust, see, Ray, is literally a living trust. It's a living document. People make the mistake of it's a set it and forget it. It is not. You should review it just like you should review all of your insurance, your car insurance, your batteries and your smoke detectors and all of that, right?
Right.
So it should be reviewed anytime you have any type of a major event, a life, a birth, a death, a divorce, anything like that. And, even if something doesn't happen major in your life, you should review it because things change, laws change, rules change, documents can become extinct, right? That language is no longer viable in this day and age.
Right. Exactly. People have to remember that. Yes. It has been a lot of fun today. We got to learn a little bit more about each other personally.
Absolutely.
Everybody's learned a little bit about how to go ahead and start moving forward with their financial future. I really appreciate you coming on. I hope you can come on again. Would love to have you. I really appreciate you. You're always out there commenting on mine and everybody else on we actually met on LinkedIn, and I really appreciate everything that you do there, here, and otherwise. Again, Leah, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, Leah's information has been scrolling across the bottom. Leah Garcia, CEO at gmail.com, and can reach her at 408-625-0613. You all know you can reach me at 209-300-0311. You all go out and be the sunshine in somebody's rainy day, and never forget to see Ray to find your perfect home. Y'all take care now.